Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. Please put your mobile devices in worship mode if you have not done so already. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Peter Horton. I'm this year's stewardship lead. I also serve on the board of trustees as a trustee at large. Welcome to Stewardship Sunday. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury has been gathering together for over 200 years, and as we work to build a more just world, we respectfully acknowledge that our physical build is on the traditional land of the Paugussett people. I am so glad you are able to join us on this morning because you are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or 1,000th Sunday, Marie, in person or online, we are stronger because you are with us. If you're new to our community or joining us online, we invite you to introduce yourself and where you are connecting from in the chat box as you are comfortable. At the conclusion of today's service, you will have a chance to participate in a breakout group for individual connections and deeper check-ins. If you're new and here in person, please fill out a visitor card at the table near the exit before you leave today and consider staying for a few minutes after the service for coffee and conversation. We're one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. And now, a quick review of our announcements. Next Sunday, one of the best services that we offer every year, the UU Young Adults will lead our service, The Art of Living. Also next Sunday at 4 o'clock, Music at the Ridge presents the Hudson Valley Sally, not to be missed. And finally, there is a woman walking around with a clipboard looking for signups for the Seder. Now, I offered to sign her clipboard if she would double her pledge. She immediately walked away. So I would offer the same advice to you. If you haven't found her, the clipboard will be at the coffee station at the end of the service. Please feel free to sign up. Folks, today we formally begin our 2023 Stewardship Pledge campaign. It will last through the month of April. You will receive a pledge packet via the U.S. Postal Service in the next few days. You'll find an inspirational letter, a generosity guide to help you to determine how you can be empowered, and you'll find your pledge form. Please fill it out and return it as soon as possible. On Sunday, April 23rd, we will formally conclude our pledge drive. So let me take a few minutes to review what we've done so far for this year's stewardship campaign. This year, we continued our leadership campaign. We compiled the list of our most generous pledge members, the board, and major committee chairs. We felt it would be inspirational for the rest of the congregation to know that we are leading and pledging by example. The result of that effort is that as of the end of this week, nearly 42% of last year's total pledge is already committed to this coming year. That is what leadership empowerment looks like. We cannot say it enough. Thank you to all of you who have already participated. And special thanks to David Leas, who for spearheading our leadership campaign this year. Thank you, David. The seventh principle of the Unitarian Universalist Principles and Purposes declares respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are part. For me, this not only includes the earth and our universe, but also this faith community as worthy objects of respect and care. Within the context of the seventh principle, stewardship means taking care of something we value and enabling it to grow. Therefore, we as stewards are caretakers of our faith community. We hold our community in trust. We ensure that it will be here in the future for the benefit of others. Our actions are empowering. They call us to take responsibility and to make a contribution of our time, talent, and today, our treasure. We will know that our stewardship campaign has been successful when each of you experience giving as making a difference. So, enough bloviating from me. We have a wonderful service in front of us that Rev Kathleen and Jerry have put together. Thank you to our most generous staff. And again, welcome to the UU congregation of Danbury.
Good morning. I am so happy to be here. I am so happy to be here with you. I hope you are feeling the same. I hope those of you online are happy to be joining us. We are so glad that you two are here. So good morning again. Good morning. All right. Let's take a moment. Let's say hello to those online like we always do. We want you to know that we know you're there and you are an important part of the service. We also want to give a special welcome to those who are visiting today. It may be your first time or maybe close to the first time. We are so glad that you are here as well. And let's take a moment now to express that joy of being together with those around you. Look around, see a face you haven't seen in a while. Let someone know you are glad they're here today. Well, let's continue this greeting of one another and expressing joy with one another during coffee hour after the service. And again, I'm going to reiterate what Peter said. If you are new, we hope you'll stick around for just a little bit if you have time today to have a cup of coffee, enjoy that, and to kind of see what we're about. And for those who are new or who are visiting, you may think, uh-oh, what did he say this service was about? I'm sorry, what is this about asking for money? Why did we pick this Sunday of all Sundays to visit? This is a great Sunday to visit. You are going to see what we are about. You are going to see about this generous and joyful congregation. I can't think of a better service to come and to see and to check us out. And I promise we are going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to do a few things that are going to be a little unorthodox, but we are Unitarian Universalists, so come to expect that. But let's begin by rising in body or spirit as you are able and sing together our hymn of welcome this morning. It'll be in that soft covered hymnal, and also we will have the lyrics up on the screen for you. It's the very first one, number 1000, Morning Has Come. Thank you. You may be seated. And you may have heard some drumming in the background, and I want you to know, because you cannot see, that Nancy Hershatter is here playing the djembe. And what is so wonderful about this is a drum that belonged to member Joanne Wells, who passed away. So this is, I knew when I saw the purple djembe, I said, I know that used to belong to Joanne. Yeah. So it is very special that Joanne's spirit is with us today on this very special day of joy. We're going to light our chalice this morning, and I'd like to invite David Lias to come and light the chalice, and Sally will lead us in the words. Peter has already said it, but David is a new member of this congregation, joining last year, and has already become such a beloved member of this community. David has delivered meals, many meals, to those in this congregation who were recovering from surgeries or illness, and he just gives from his heart. I mean, not only the food is he making with those hands, or maybe getting from the store with those hands, but he is delivering those to people to make sure that we are fed, as well as being a part of this year's stewardship campaign. David, we thank you. We are so grateful for the gifts that you bring to this community. Sally, our service coordinator, will lead us in the chalice lighting words.
Join me, please. The words are in your order of service and also on the screen. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life.
Okay, we're going to say our children's affirmation. So we will put our Unitarian Universalist hands up in the air. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. And I have a story to tell. If there are any children who want to come and join me for the story, they are most welcome to do that. Today's story is inspired by a story that is told in the Christian Bible in the book of Matthew. It is said that Jesus told a story like this to his followers. But today I'm going to tell it a little differently, the way my colleague Dawn Star Sarah's Borchelt tells it. Once upon a time, there was a rich man who was going away on a long trip. As was a custom at the time, he decided that before he left, he would give his money to his servants to care for it while he was away. He called his steward, his cook, and his housekeeper together to gather around him as he set off. All right. To his steward, he gave 10 coins, 10 talents, 10 silver pieces. Now, 10 silver pieces is a lot of money. When he saw the money, the steward's eyes got big. Then the rich man took out 5 pieces of silver and gave them to his cook. She was stunned to see the money as well. 5 pieces of silver was more than she spent on food for the rich man's house in a whole year. Finally, the rich man took out 1 piece of silver and gave it to his housekeeper. The housekeeper was a little miffed that she got so much less than the steward and the cook, but she was glad to be trusted with it even so. The rich man then said, I'm giving each of you this money because I trust you, and I'm going to be away for a while. While I'm gone, I want you to take good care of this money. I want you to use it to build it up for my estate. Money's just a way to take our precious time and energy and turn it into something even more valuable. When I return, I will expect the money back and a report of what you've done." And away he went. Well, while the rich man was gone, the steward took his 10 talents and bought a piece of farmland. He raised a spring crop, a summer crop, and an autumn crop before his master returned, and he sold all of them at a good profit. The cook took some of the 5 talents and bought some extra ingredients when she shopped for the rich man's household. In her spare moments, she cooked extra food and took it to the market and sold it there. Cooked food is worth more than ingredients, so she made back what she had spent and a little more. The housekeeper, though, couldn't think of what she could do with the 1 talent except keep it safe. So she hid it away in the linen closet and worried that someone might find it and take it. When the rich man finally returned home almost a year later, he gathered his servants around him once more. They greeted him, and he asked how things had gone while he was away. The steward gave a report on his duties, and then he handed the rich man 20 pieces of silver. The rich man was glad and asked how the steward had gotten so much. The steward explained about the farm and how he had made back not just the 10 talents he'd spent, but 10 more. Then the cook came forward and gave the rich man 7 talents. She explained that though she had worked hard, she hadn't had the time to spend all 5 original talents. So although her food stand had made a respectable profit, she hadn't made as much as the steward. With a long face, the housekeeper came forward and handed the rich man the 1 talent she had been given almost a year before. She was ashamed of herself. She said,
"I kept this money safe, but I didn't raise any more."
"I kept this money safe, but I didn't raise any more." The rich man weighed the silver money in his hand. He looked at his servants. He said, "Here's what I've learned from what each of you have told me. When I gave much, I received much. When I gave less, I received less. And although I am not well pleased with my housekeeper, you have reminded me of another valuable lesson by your actions. Worry never gets you anything." So ends the story. And shall we sing "This Little Light of Mine"?
Let's take a deep breath together. Let's take another one. I want you to hold it for just a second and slowly release. Let's ground ourselves in this moment as we come to a time where we share the milestones of our lives, a very sacred point in this sacred hour together, because we are community. So we bring those great joys that we want to share, that someone else may be able to hold that joy with us for this moment. Someone may need to hear that joy. And we bring those sorrows, those deep sorrows and concerns that are weighing on us. They weighed on us when we walked across the threshold of this building, when we entered this room, and they are sitting here with us, and we would bring them to the table and share them. That perhaps others will also hold it up for us just for these few moments. That's what we do in community. That's what we're about. That's what we're for. So to join me staying in this spirit of reflection and grounding as we sing together our hymn of reflection. It's number 1002, Comfort Me in that hymnal. The words are here, and if you're brave enough, I'd ask you to leave those hymnals down and just sing from the heart as you see the words on the screen.
Comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Sometimes that song gets me. And I find myself, maybe like some of you, just almost feeling overwhelmed. Comfort me. I hope in this community you can find comfort. We will dance with you. We will speak for you when you don't have a voice. And I promise you, we will comfort you. What a joy. The reading this morning comes from Mary Oliver, from her piece, Don't Hesitate. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. And much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibility left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back. That sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you notice it in the instant when love begins. That's often the case. Whenever it is, whatever it is, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of its plenty, because joy, it's not made to be a crumb. And this ends the reading.
I'd like to share a offertory reading from one of the most prolific authors in Unitarian Universalism, Anonymous. Even though we sometimes feel powerless, indifferent, or troubled, even though we can sometimes be wasteful of our lives, we all have a persistent, deeply felt desire to make our lives count and be helpful, enduring, and loving. We want to do something specific and concrete that will give our lives meaning and affect the future. Let us start today by giving generously to the mission of this congregation. If this is your first time here as we pass the plate, please let it go by. Your presence is a gift enough to us. For the rest of you, please give generously. And please join me in our congregational response for our offering. Okay, that's a good response. Is it up there? In the spirit of compassion and service, we dedicate these, our offerings.
Now, how many congregations do you go to where Bob Marley is played as the offertory? Come on. Come on now. We're pretty special. You know, a few years ago, the Yale Center for Faith and Culture established a project called The Theology of Joy and the Good Life. The Theology of Joy and the Good Life. And they determined that joy is the crown of the good life. Joy, they say, a positive emotion that's actually a positive affective response to an objective external good. Well, I think that's just a fancy way of saying that joy is fundamental to our existence. It's fundamental to human existence and to well-being, and yet it really is an elusive phenomenon. It resists real definition. You know, for more than 2 millennia, the articulation and the cultivation of joy was at the center of Jewish and Christian scripture. Joy was right at the center of it, at the center of Jewish and Christian theology and practices, and in turn grounded in and evolved over centuries of human experience and observation and discernment. But they say that that joy has waned, that it is no longer the center and in fact is flattened out. But Trent T. Gilliss, he's one of the founding editors of On Being. Have you heard of On Being? It's a Krista Tippett show. Well, one of the founding editors of that said, notice joy, nourish joy, consciously take advantage of your opportunities to experience joy. Because joy, known over a long period of time, takes you beyond yourself. It deepens and expands your mind beyond the boundaries of your disconnections. And as I started to think about that, I began to try to remember all of the times when I was in religious community and I felt exuberant joy. And I went all the way back to my childhood. And as most of you know, I was raised in a Southern Baptist church. So many might say, well, you certainly didn't have much joy there, did you? No, I did. I did. As a child, one of my most joyful memories was singing. Singing. I mean, music. Doesn't that bring us joy here? Think about the choir singing this morning. Wow. My heart was just beginning to overflow with joy. So I began to think of those songs that brought me joy, and it was not the lyrics, I will admit to you. It was not the lyrics of those songs, but it was the singing together and gathering together for music and singing. And I had a song, the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Does anybody know that song? Okay, several do. Okay, that one just came right into my mind. I was transported back. I was 6 years old. I was 7 years old. I was 9. I was 10, and I was belting it out. I had such joy in that moment. My poor husband has been listening to me humming it and singing it all week long. But I decided I was going to change the words just slightly. I was going to say, I've got UUCD joy in my heart. And then I changed another verse, which used to be, I've got the wonderful love of my blessed Redeemer way down in the depths of my heart. So I changed that to, I've got the wonderful love and the joy of community down in the depths of my heart. And it's now my song. Jerry? I want you to sing it with me if you know it. Feel the joy. You ready, Jerry? I've got the joy, 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 joy down in where? Where? I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? My heart to stay. Now, do you remember? And I'm so happy, so very happy. Here we go. I've got UUCD joy in my heart, down in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got UUCD joy in my heart. Now here's the other part. I've got the wonderful love and the joy of community down in the depths of my heart. Where? I'm sorry, where? I've got the wonderful love and the joy of community down in the depths of my heart. Where? That's my heart to stay. Come on, you're happy, and I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got UUCD joy in my heart, down in my heart, and I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got UUCD joy in my heart. Good job. Did you feel the joy? Did you feel just a little teeny bit of joy there? Yeah? Tell me, what songs for you have brought you joy? Maybe as a child in religious community, or maybe later in life, maybe here, but a song that just brings you joy. Tell me. Summertime. Okay. What else?
The hills are alive with the sound.
Whoa, the hills are alive with the sound of music. Any others? Enter, rejoice, and come in. Here we go. Come on. And come in. Today will be a joy. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Others?
Here comes the sun.
Oh, here comes the sun. Okay. And while we're contemplating that, are there any others that bring you joy, that have brought you joy as a child in religious community? What is a song that has brought you joy? Oh, what a beautiful morning. That's great. Here comes the sun. Comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long day. It has been. Little darling, this is the Here comes the sun, do, do, do. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's all right. Wonderful. So then I began to think about, okay, I have such joy in music from my childhood, from being here to hearing choirs. And I began to think of the women's retreats that I would go on with this community before I was an ordained minister. And we loved music, but there was something else we loved with the music. Does anybody know what that was? Oh, dancing. Yes, and it made me think of my Episcopal colleagues because I would sometimes complain and not be too joyful and say, I can't get my congregation's faces out of the hymnals. I mean, they're doing that you thing, which is looking ahead to make sure the lyrics are going to be appropriate. We don't want to mention anything we don't like. What am I going to do? And my Episcopal colleagues would say, yeah, but at least you're not leading God's frozen people. So let's prove that correctly. Not the frozen people. We are those who are willing to move, to be moved by whatever spirit we have, by the music. And so, Margaret, I'm going to ask you to get the video ready. Margaret is doing our tech today, and she has graciously agreed to get the video ready because there was a song that was a very favorite, a hymn here, a very favorite by someone named Ann Thorpe. And many of you knew her, and some of you have just heard that name because Anne knew what it meant when we said the joy of giving. Because she gave of herself, but she also made sure that that joy would continue, that moments of joy would continue in this community when she died. Because she left money for this community to use so that we could sustain ourselves, so that we could grow, so that we could create moments of great joy. And when I did a lay-led service one year before I went to seminary, and I was talking to Anne, and she said, well, be sure to put my favorite hymn in there. And her favorite hymn was, Let It Be a Dance We Do. Margaret, can we have the video? And can we dance? And you can also sing.
Let it be a dance with you. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the word. Fill the sky with sunny blue. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. I'll learn to dance. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. Reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Good dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Burn and spin. And like a willow in the wind. Let it be a take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at the light. There is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine bright. Share the laughter with. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
So we know that we can find moments of joy in our music, in our singing, in movement and dancing. But can we find joy in giving? That's the question for today. Can we find the joy in giving? So I want you to remember feeling joy, a time when you felt joy in being generous, when you were generous and you were overwhelmed by joy. I want you to recall a time when you made a memorable gift or a donation to an organization about which you felt passionate, where your values were being lived out by that organization. I want you to take a moment to think about that. And then I'm going to ask you to share aloud. And I don't care about the amount. This isn't about the amount. When have you been generous to the point where you were overwhelmed with joy? And online, I want you to think about that too, and I want you to type it in the chat box. When did you make a memorable gift or a donation and you were overwhelmed with joy? Anybody? Yes.
Well, there's an organization that gives scholarships for higher education to women in conflict-affected countries or low-income countries. And they faced a year where they wanted to fund people that were already trained for their degree, but they had no money for additional scholarships. So I just said, well, that's not fair to the new people. So I gave a big gift for one new scholarship.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dale, for sharing that. Any others? When is a time you were generous to the point of being overwhelmed with joy in your gift? Nancy. That's okay. That's right. That's great. Thank you. Sally, do we have any online yet? No. Now I know how generous you are. So I know there have been moments. I hope those moments brought you joy. So think about that. Gail?
I guess every time I write a check to the ACLU and the Southern Poverty Law.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Diane?
During the lockdown part of the pandemic, 50 sandwiches twice a month for the day.
It's wonderful. It's a gift. It's generosity, and you felt joy. Yep. Deb?
My sister and I did a charity walk in Alaska. It supported AIDS vaccine research. This wasn't all my money, of course. It was sponsored.
Sure.
Generous donation raised about $10,000.
Wow. It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Chris? Yes. Yep. Giving to every lemonade stand that Chris sees that kids are running and he gives to and is generous. Heather?
Again, a gift of time, but I felt great joy when I saw both of my Girl Scout troops from kindergartners to seniors in high school.
Yes. 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 Others? Yes.
My name is Tom. I'm a member. ever sent here today. There's an online organization I'm involved with that does a lot of video gaming, and they do an annual outreach to collect donations for a charity that sets up children's hospitals with video game systems. For children who are better at home and don't have access to it. So I made a donation yesterday. I felt good about that.
It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Tom. Any online, Sally? Thank you.
From Jackie Alexander, when our family gave a gift to Dad on his 90th birthday towards rebuilding our church, the First Universalist Church in Southold, Long Island.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
And I have one.
Yes.
I get great joy from quilting, and my house has way too many quilts. So I found two organizations, Project Linus and Paul Newman's Hole in the Wall Gang Camp, where I make quilts and deliver them to the camp. And I just, it makes me feel good to see the kids either in hospitals or at this camp who are coping with serious chronic or likely fatal conditions, can use these quilts and take them home with them at the end of the summer.
That's great. Thank you for sharing, Sally. One more, Gina.
So I have been a hospice volunteer for many years, and probably some of the most rewarding things I've done for hospice have been writing people's stories before they die, and incredibly rewarding, very touching, very rewarding. And I also want to say that I felt a lot of joy last summer. Every Thursday morning, I think it was, when I went over to the Community Action Agency of Western Connecticut with mostly Swiss chard. Well, I received a garden. We had way too much Swiss chard. But they say vegetables and fresh vegetables.
That's wonderful.
So I did that a lot last year, but always made me.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. You know, the Jewish tradition, with its tremendous respect for all that we've inherited from previous generations, reminds us that we often find ourselves living in houses we did not build, drinking from wells which we did not dig, and eating from trees which we did not plant. So in this spirit, I want to invite you to take a moment. We won't share aloud, but take a moment to recall when someone offered you a gift of generosity. When were you the recipient of someone else's generosity? Could have been a gift of money, but it could have been a gift of time, of music, of intelligence, of simply being present. Remember who that person was. Remember what they gave you with as much detail as you can. Remember how you experienced that event, how it affected you at that time and afterward. From the Buddhist tradition, Lama Surya Das writes that giving brings happiness at every stage of its expression. We experience joy in forming the intention to be generous. We experience joy in the actual act of giving something, and we experience joy in remembering the fact that we have given. But it's not about the amount. This is not the sermon on the amount. I know. It is not about the amount that you give, it's about the intention in your giving. And don't tell the finance team I said this, but it's not about a mathematical problem. It's really about extending ourselves toward what we imagine can be. It's about a venture, not a conclusion. The joy in giving empowers us. You know, if you're giving all that you can give, then you are giving what this community needs. And only you can know whether you are extending yourself as much as you can. As my colleague Lisa Ward says, it's not about martyrdom. See, martyrdom and money, they don't mix well. It's about empowerment. It's about making what you value, what strengthens your sense of self, your good life, making that a living and walking and working reality. Pledge drives are not about getting blood from a stone. They're not. They're about awakening the community to its potential, reminding us of our worth. It's not about the amount, it's about the intention. And stewardship, Peter says it. Stewardship means taking care of something we value and enabling it to grow. If you think about your very worst experiences with money, they're the ones that made you feel cheated, or the ones that made you feel somehow diminished or less than. But if you think of your best experiences when you were generous or someone was generous with you, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel joy. It makes you feel as though you've contributed to the greater good. And when we give as stewards, as caretakers, then we feel the best and we do the greatest good. Now, most of us have been the beneficiaries of some tremendous generosity at some point in our lives. And sometimes we have the opportunity to pay back those generous givers. But more often, our invitation is to pay it forward, right? To pay it forward to others, to literally and metaphorically build houses which others will live in, to dig wells from which others may drink, to help plant those trees that others will eat from. Consider the parable that Sierra Marie shared about those talents or about the coins and the lessons. We give much, we receive much, and worry never gets us anything. Consider what each of the stewards did with the silver they were given. And I want to give you an opportunity today, a special opportunity to steward some money that was given by an anonymous donor. I have 10 envelopes here. And actually, I have 2 that I'm holding for those online. But I have 10 here. Some of them have a $100 bill. Some have a 50. Some have a 20. Some have a 10. It's not all 10s. If you are willing this morning to take a random envelope, I don't know what money is in which envelope, but if you are willing to take an envelope today and use whatever money is in here to make a difference in the wider community, because that's part of the mission of this congregation. So if you're willing to take whatever money is here, make a difference in the wider community, in whatever creative way you decide. I don't care if this is your first time here or if you've been a member for 30 or more years. Everyone is able. We're going to take the first 10 who will raise their hands in a moment. But you take it, you make a difference with it, and then I just need you to write a really short little reflection on what it is you chose to do with this money. Just like the guy said to his stewards, I want to know what you did with it. And what was that experience like for you? So in just a few moments in our musical meditation, Sally is going to pass these out to the first 10 who raised their hands. And in the online group, the first 2 to write in the chat box that you want an envelope, I will mail an envelope to you tomorrow. I have 2 set aside for you. My hope is that this experience will exemplify the joy in giving and the empowerment it affords as you consider your contribution to this year's pledge campaign. Gail.
Understand your challenge, and if I get an envelope, I will double whatever's in it.
Okay. All right. We did not plan that. I didn't pay him ahead of time. This is something new.
2 in the chat.
Okay, good. So before we do that, let me just share a couple more words with you as you are considering whether this is something you want to do. It's not for everyone. But if you are, I'm going to ask you in a moment to raise your hand. Peter shared some words, and I'm going to share them again with you because I think they're so important for today. There are times when we feel powerless. Anybody ever feel powerless? Yeah. There are times when we feel indifferent. Ever feel indifferent? There are some times when we feel deeply troubled. But yet we all have this deeply felt desire, persistent desire to make our lives count. And to make our lives count in helpful and enduring ways, lasting ways, just like Ann Thorpe. Just like Joanne Wells with the drums sitting here today. We all have a desire to make our lives count in enduring and helpful ways. We want to do something specific. We want to do something concrete that will give our lives meaning and will affect the future. We can start today by joyfully giving to the mission of this congregation in order for our children, our grandchildren, the children visiting us today, all of those to come, to create memories of great joy in congregational life. How wonderful is that? We have the empowerment. We are empowered to do that. Because remember what Mary Oliver said, joy is not made to be a crumb. May we all have the joy, 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 joy. Where? Yeah, down in our hearts. And may it be so. If you would like to take this, I'm not going to call it a challenge, take this gift and make something with it and feel the joy. If you would just raise your hand. Thank you all, those of you participating and those of you who have decided to let others experience that joy. I thank you too, and we are all going to look forward to learning about what this experience means for you and what it is that you choose to do. There is no wrong thing other than to hide it away and worry that something's going to happen to it. Let's extinguish. Let's extinguish our chalice. Sally will lead us in the words together.
Join me, please. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.
Let's rise one last time in body or spirit as you are able, and let's sing together number 368 in that gray hardback hymnal. The words are right up here, and I'm hoping we're going to do it in parts. Choir, we're counting on you to help us on this one. Now let us sing. From Edward Everett Hale, I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. Sing with joy, dance with joy, and know the powerful joy of giving. Shalom. Salam. Amen. Blessed be to each and to all. Namaste.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and sunlight hurts my eyes, something without warning, love, there's heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems possible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day.
For those of you online, if you'd like to stick around for a breakout group, please do so and